There's times like, why did I choose this career when I could have just worked at Home Depot or Lowe's and just been a greeter at Walmart or something like that and collected my pension and then still had some extra money coming in. There's certainly highs and lows. For every bad day, there's good days.
Welcome to Mindset Lessons from the Field. I'm Gina Cazazzo, the author of the upcoming memoir, Training with a SEAL. Today's guest was in the service for 22 years. He was a reconnaissance Marine for 18 years. Today, he is the owner of Voodoo Brewing Company in Myrtle Beach. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm really excited to introduce you to Todd Pinker. Todd, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's my first podcast. I'm excited.
I'm excited to talk with you. For those that aren't watching the show, you're listening to the show. This is actually an in-person one, as you remember from Kelly. Apparently it went so well, we decided to do it again. So here we are. Now, Todd, you are our first Marine that stayed in the Marines. And I've never had someone from reconnaissance before. So can you tell us what exactly that is and why you picked it?
Yeah, so I knew nothing about the reconnaissance field when I first joined the service. It wasn't until I was finally in the Marine Corps, passed boot camp, passed my secondary schooling, and came across these guys in East Timor, which is a small island in north of Australia. They're like, who are you guys? And what do you guys do? They told me all about it. I was hooked. I was like, I want to do that. They do some really cool things.
How'd they describe it? What'd they say?
So I thought I was the first one on the beach. I was a mechanic at the time in the Marine Corps. So I thought I was the first one on the beach to receive the vehicles, fix them up if stuff broke. But these guys were like these barrel-chested, like Greek gods almost. I'm like, who are you guys? Like, we're reconnaissance Marines. And that we came ashore a couple nights ago in the cover of darkness. We swam ashore, dove in, secured the beach for when you guys came. I'm like, are you serious? Like, I didn't even know you guys were here. And then they leave on the cover of darkness as well. Like, you don't even know if the Recon Marines are there. What else do you guys do? Oh, we jump out of airplanes. We scuba dive. We shoot really cool weapons. We go on long patrols. I was like, that sounds challenging and amazing. Like, how do I do that? And so they told me, you got to try out. There's a physical fitness test you got to do. Then after you pass that, you go on to various schools, a lot of schools. And then you get, sent to one of the recon battalions.
Now, was it easy for you in terms of, you said, I want to go recon, you let somebody know, and you got to go and try out? Or were there some doors that you had to break down?
Yeah, there's a process in the Marine Corps. There's career planners that kind of help you along the way. And so, you have to change jobs from one MOS, military occupational specialty, to another. And there's got to be, obviously, when you're leaving one job, it's going to leave a vacancy. So, the Marine Corps has got to account for that. But recon is always in demand for bodies, for people. So it was a pretty easy transition, paperwork-wise. It did take a little time to finally get that through and then get to school, the basic recon course. But primarily, it is pretty easy.
Now, what did you have to do to try out, and how prepared were you for that?
So this is back in 2005-ish time frame. So things have changed a little bit now. But back then, I just went from my unit to a recon battalion, and they had Marines that were transitioning out of the Marine Corps. They did 4-8 years. They're transitioning out. So they had, in between period of, being out of service and still in the service. So they would train us up, teach us what they learned over the past couple of years, take us on long hikes, long runs, teach us a few things, to kind of get us prepared for the basic reconnaissance course. And back then they had two different courses, the East Coast one, which was ARS, Amphibious Reconnaissance School. That was up at Fort Story, Virginia. And then they had BRC, the Basic Reconnaissance Course, at Camp Pendleton in Coronado, California. Now they combine the school, and now it's all in California. But you go to the battalion, they kind of train you up a little bit, send you to the schoolhouse where it's 56 training days long. We learn everything from land navigation, patrolling, communication, swimming techniques, reporting procedures. It covers a lot.
What was the dropout rate for that?
It was high. I would say out of my class, there was probably, I'd say at least 30% didn't make it, that I started with. And it was for various reasons where they could have gotten injured and they got rolled to another class. They failed the test, and once you fail so many, again, you get rolled to another class. So they could have made it at a class after mine, but some just quit and get peered out where they just wash out.
What was the hardest part for you? Did you have a hard part?
Yeah, well, everything's difficult. You learn new things. So the radios, there's so much to do with radios. Setting them up, setting up different antennas, programming them. The land navigation could be tricky because back then we just use a map and compass, and you're going through some of the thickets of AP Hill, Virginia. Where you can barely see the hand in front of your face because it's so thick. It's at nighttime. You can get turned around pretty easily. And so now we have some better equipment, GPS, obviously. But, just using basic map and compass could get you.
I feel like I would struggle with the land nav. Now, did you ever get lost? Did you ever...
I didn't get lost, but I found my points, but I did get rolled doing land nav because I'd lost my map. And so once you lose your equipment, I couldn't turn my card in. So I'm like, I lost it. And so I had to redo it again. So that kind of sucked. So definitely lesson learned is to dummy cord, retain your equipment, because obviously, even though it's just a simple map or, compass, anything that's left behind for the enemy, they can use, they track you, stuff like that. So in this instance, I had to redo it over again, which sucked because the rest of the guys went on to, learning some other things, whereas me and a couple other guys who failed because they didn't find all their points, or me losing equipment, had to redo it. And so, you're just out there again for half the day. And this is in the summer of 2006. So, in Virginia, so it's hot, it's humid, you got all your gear on, you're trekking through vines and thickets. I'm like, this sucks. Yeah. So yeah, that was definitely a lesson learned there.
I'm laughing because I'm 90% sure it was Brewery Chris Lee who talked about losing his map on the land nav. I think it was raining or something, and it was just I don't remember exactly, but when he lost his map as well, and then you have to, well, you said it was 56 days or something?
Roughly, yeah.
Roughly.
If I remember correctly.
And then how was it after? And by the way, how well did the Marines prepare you for reconnaissance? Because you were Marine 2 years, or what, 4 years prior?
4 years, yeah. So I first joined as a mechanic.
Why Marines? I didn't actually get to ask so much.
Yeah, so I guess going back to the beginning, I graduated high school in 2000, grew up in northern New Jersey, where I was just outside New York City, 30 minutes I could be in the city. Skyline was, I could see it every day driving to and from school. And I didn't really have much interest in joining the service right out of high school. My father was a Vietnam veteran, Army. My grandfather was in, my uncle was in, cousins. So I have my uncle went to West Point. So a long lineage of people serving, family members serving in the military. It wasn't really on the horizon. I liked work with my hands, so I went to a vocational school for automobile mechanics. Really liked it. Got in a little bit of trouble. Was kind of a bad boy and got arrested a few times. And then 9/11 happened. And so my brother and I, pretty much the day after or so, just went down to a recruiter's office and we just joined the Marine Corps. We knew the Marines were, better. Of course, I'm biased, but the Marines just are better. We didn't have any Marines in our family.
Yeah.
And we're like, all right, let's join the Marine Corps. And then we went home, told my parents, and of course they were shocked and sad and upset, probably all emotion.
Of course, because you're going to war.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty much a guaranteed. I wasn't sure. You can join, because I know some branches you can't join with a record.
I had a couple DUIs, so nothing criminal, nothing criminal. It was just me being a young dumbass.
Okay.
So I did take my recruiter I had a court hearing, and then my last one, I had already signed the papers. So I was in between the judge and recruiters, joining the service. And I came with my recruiter, and I said, he told the judge he joined, he's leaving this date. The judge, threw it away. He said, good luck. And so probably the best decision of my life, because God knows where I would have been if I just stayed at home, problem child, just get in trouble, down the wrong path.
How was the Marine for you when you first got in? Was it a cultural shock? Did you struggle at all?
Yeah, definitely a cultural shock, because I was living at home. I was 20 years old, so I never lived my own until I left for the service. Meeting people from across the United States, all walks of life, guys who are older, different races, different educational backgrounds. So it was really cool to meet all these new guys and talk to them and kind of struggle, with them, alongside them. Yeah, the hardest part was getting in trouble for what other people would do. You got to get online, make your bed, get online at a certain time. And, I always cheat the system, get up a little early, make my bed. So that way I was prepared and get online. But, some other guys weren't as eager to do that. They'd be rolling out of bed, when the lights come on, and they're late, and now we're all late, and now they toss the mattresses, they play games with us. And so that was frustrating, is to have to, put up with other guys who, would struggle, I guess.
How do you work and I guess coexist, right, with essentially their teammates, right, and as you're going through this, when not everybody is pulling their weight?
Yeah, eventually, you confront them. Hey, you need to start getting up earlier, for that example. Hey, I'll wake you up and we'll get up a few minutes earlier so you can get on time, make your bed on time, and, get online in time so they stop playing games. So that's just one thing, is you got to help them. They may struggle in one area that I don't, and then vice versa. I struggle in one area that they're better at, and so help each other out. Now
we're going to go back into the future of this, but to reconnaissance, now that I got a little bit more of the background, tell us about what it was like. You mentioned earlier, before I started recording, there's reconnaissance and force reconnaissance. You did both of that. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so in 2006, there was a big change in the Marine Corps, and that's when we first joined the Special Operations Command with MARSOC, Marine Special Operations Command. And so before 2006, there was Force Recon and there's Recon Battalion. Recon Battalion provides, serves the division, 2-star general with assets. And then the Force Reconnaissance Company, so smaller in size, both are commanded by an 05 commander and a sergeant major. They provide assets to the Marine Expeditionary Force, 1 MEF, 2 MEF, 3 MEF, which are 3-star general. So they provide assets to them. Whether that's, Kalesh's assets, inserting, jumping, diving, whatever that is. But one of those missions that those 2-star, 3-star general needs, he has those assets available. And the Force Reconnaissance is primarily going to be more experienced guys. The kind of stepping stone is you go to Recon Battalion, you get some training, you get some schools under you, you go on a deployment or two, you try out for Force Reconnaissance. That's no tryout. Everything is a tryout. You're tested every single day.
How are you tested?
Most of it is just physical, because if you can endure, because physical and mental kind of go hand in hand. If you can endure the physical pain of having heavy pack on your back, traveling long.
When you say heavy pack, give us the.
So mostly it's going to be 50 pounds, which really isn't that much. But over 12 miles, it adds up. But it's,
And you're talking the heat, you said,
Yeah, depending on the season.
Depending on the season, yeah. That I did. I thought my listeners would join, but I did a Special Forces challenge, month of challenges. And many of our guests submitted challenges for us to do, and it was each day of the month. Right? And one of several of them was rucking, and I've never done that before. And it was 30 pounds, and one was 50 pounds, I think, or maybe they were all 30. I don't remember, both heavy. And one was 12 miles. And I mean, that's a third of my weight, okay, as a 100-pound person. So I was feeling, and it's July, I was like cursing myself at picking the hottest month of the year in South Carolina to do that. So yes, 50 pounds 50 pounds for me is a lot. It's half of me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when we talk about, the schools that you went to and the training that you've done and everything like that, and the tryouts that you've had to go through, is every single day like you get up and you're like, whether you're either in a school or you're in the field, but you're still having to do stuff physical? I mean, you're getting paid to be fit.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly right. There's always something to do. We're not deployed. You're back here in garrison in the rear. You're always sharpening your sword, right? You're always going for additional schools.
What schools did you go to?
So I've been to basic airborne course, the Army school, a free fall school, which is a Marine Moran school, dive school, RSLIC, which is the Army school, JTAC, control, aircraft.
Now, do you get to pick these, or did they send you?
No, they send you. It's just based on requirements. Within a team, you want to have certain capabilities. Everyone needs to be insert capable, so be able to jump or dive into the mission. That's pretty much how we get to work, right? We're going to jump in or dive in, or you take a rubber boat.
What was your biggest challenging school?
Well,
Did you
I guess
schools?
Unfortunately, I didn't pass Ranger school. I got injured, and I got rolled. That's my white whale. That's the one school that I didn't get to pass that I always wanted to go back to. And so I went through, I got injured, I got rolled, and this was when they had the best Ranger competitions. So they kind of put a big pause on when the next class picks up. And 2nd Recon Battalion, who I was a part of, was going to Iraq, and they were starting their workup procedures. So I wanted to go be with my team, conduct that workup procedures of training for several months prior to deployment. Vice, staying around Fort Benning and going back to Ranger school. I really wish I went back. That's the one school, like I said, I just couldn't complete
Because of an injury.
Yeah, an injury and yeah.
So I'm gonna get back. I have a question that just popped in, and then we're gonna get back to this. But transitioning out, since you worked out you had to be physically fit, right? You had all these tests that you had to pass. Was it like once you got out, like, I'm gonna take a break from working out, or was it like it's kind of ingrained in you to now be fit?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's just I was telling my wife, I won't give up my routine. I have a little bit now because I'm just busier with my current entrepreneur job here, owning a restaurant, but keeping that battle rhythm. And I think that's what kind of keeps some of us sane, transition from the military is I was so used to waking up early, shaving my face. I knew exactly what I had to wear because it was just camis. I didn't have to think about what shirt to wear or pants or shoes. I didn't have to put an outfit together because it was all camis. Go work out in the morning and then, do my daily job in the Marine Corps. And that was it. So I knew that for 22 years. And then coming out of the service, I was a little bit like a fish out of water, especially before the restaurant opened. And I had that kind of great period of, what am I supposed to be doing with my hands? Standing there like, I'm not reporting to anybody because I'm my own boss. I don't have an office to go to. So now I'm just at home, waiting for the restaurant to open, to get built out, and, setting up some things, within the restaurant, like contractors and suppliers, stuff like that. But then it was just some free time. So keeping that battle rhythm of, all right, I'm just going to wake up early, go to the gym, do the same routine I had before. And that kind of just helped me get back into like some type of sanity.
Gotcha. I had to ask that before because, you're working. I'm a for myself, I'm opposite of that. I think I'm from like, I didn't work out ever. I mean, I was an athlete, right? But if we didn't have practice and I wasn't practicing with my brothers or my dad, I was not, I wasn't practicing, right?
Yeah.
So for myself, like when I was in my 20s and I was on my own and I wasn't, playing sports anymore, right? It was like, I didn't think about the gym, like working out. None of that's fun for me. Then when I started training with the SEAL and I was like, I have to like, you had to do gym exercise. You actually had to film it.
Yeah.
You had to film it. You couldn't just like say you went to the gym. Like you had to film the stuff. So I had to get into the routine of going, and to just get started is just a challenge.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It takes some time to get into that rhythm. Your muscles have to get, acclimated to lifting this weight or doing these different exercises. So you're going to be sore and you're like,
I always
frustrated.
when I improves.
Yeah.
No, well, actually, I want to ask that for you. Like because I need to know for myself, like when you were always doing physical stuff, like were you one dry and bruise all the time?
I mean, you're definitely, always got like a bandage on, you're sore from whatever workout. And the guys and this is probably any service, but there's alpha males in the reconnaissance, community. They're always trying to beat the next person who can do more push-ups, who can run the fastest, who can go the farthest, who can swim the longest, all that stuff. So it's very competitive. So guys are always getting injured, or just constantly sore, but you just learn to live with it and, work through it and drive on.
Tell us of a time where that is related to you.
Well, definitely going through the reconnaissance course, every day there's some type of physical event, whether it's swimming, running, rucking, whatever it is. And when I went to ARS in Fort Story, Virginia, there's
What is ARS?
Amphibious Reconnaissance Schule. When they have them split East Coast and West Coast, they're right there on the beach. So a lot of sand to play in.
Yeah.
Which makes it even harder to run in, especially with, ruck on. So I was
Soft sand?
soft sand, you're in boots and utes, 50-pound pack, and you're running up and down, the beach there. So just unevenness, you're always twisting ankles or, got shin splint, whatever it might be. But I would have to tape up my back because the ruck would just wear on my back, especially like the lower back, the kidney pads and stuff. And with the sand getting in there and just like a sandpaper just grinding away. So I just have constant, open sores almost. So if I knew I had a ruck run coming up, I would just take some duct tape and just put it across my lower back.
Oh my God.
And then just go do the event, 8 miles. And then, then we go to class and do other fun stuff that the instructors came up with. And then at the end of the night, like peel it off or have my buddy like peel it off, try to rinse it out, clean it up.
Oh.
But that was just constantly there because there's just never a time for it to heal.
Now, did you know what you were going to do the next day or week? Like how far in advance did you have your schedule?
We kind of knew the basic, because it's broken down like 3 different phases. There's like the individual phase, there's a patrolling phase, and then there's the amphibious phase. So we kind of knew within those phases, there were certain events we'd be doing. And we knew we'd have, ruck runs during a certain event, during a certain period. So we had a basic idea, but the instructors get very creative with what they want to do and they can change it up on the fly. So there's a lot of games that we would play in addition to the normal schedule.
So give us an example.
If let's say we're in class and, we're tired because we've been little sleep, just to go out early, do some physical event, and they're teaching us a class on, communication and radio frequencies and, theory of communication, and not the most exciting thing. Some guys fall asleep. So, all right, get outside, and then we go to the sand pit and, just 8 counts or, mountain climbers, whatever it might be, roll around, get sandy, all right, come back in. And now you're sweaty, you're sandy, you're dirty. Now you're still trying to focus on the PowerPoint presentation. Like, this sucks. Yeah.
And you did this for 22 years. I mean, their whole career. Now, did you move to instructor at all during your time?
Yeah, so Marine Corps, you kind of bounce around every 3-4 years or so to different units. And in Recon, there's only so many places you can go. There's Okinawa, Japan, 3rd Recon, Camp Pendleton, which is 1st Recon, and then Camp Lejeune for 2nd Recon.
Which one were you?
I was at 3rd Recon, 2nd Recon. I was at the schoolhouse in Camp Pendleton. I was at a reserve unit for a couple of years.
So you just bounced around.
So bounce around, yeah. I had my wife and I did 4 cross-country moves. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Every like 3 or 4 years, back and forth, ping pong, back and forth. But yeah, the good thing about moving around is you get to experience not only just a new location, but you get to work in a different environment. Camp Pendleton is completely different than Camp Lejeune. More mountains there, dry climate. Here it's more flat, humid, more of a thicker jungle forest that you're patrolling through. So it's different training environments, different people that you work alongside. So it's definitely good to kind of not get in a rut, not get complacent, and you get to try different places and learn different things. And to answer your question, I was an instructor for 4 years, and that was probably one of the best jobs I had in the Marine Corps. I was a staff sergeant at E6, and then was promoted gunny. And I did different jobs there, from when the students first would show up in like a holding platoon, kind of just get them processed in, stuff like that. Just getting prepared mentally, physically. And then I ran the patrolling phase for a number of years. And then eventually, moved up back to 2nd Recon Battalion. But it was amazing to like see these kids, because to me, they're kids. I was, I guess, 28, 30, and these kids are 20, but they're just like sponges. And they're all volunteers. They're not, one of them was like just pushed into Recon. They all want to do this in some form or fashion. Whether they signed up with a recruiter or when they were just outside of boot camp, they asked for volunteers, and guys raised their hands. Now, some of them didn't know what they're getting themselves into. One kid didn't know there was so much swimming involved in Recon. And I was like, well, the title of our, we're amphibious reconnaissance Marines. Like, it's in the title, amphibious. You should know there's going to be water involved. And, he quit. He's like, I'm a great swimmer. I didn't know so much swimming involved. So, yeah. But like I said, they're sponges. And when you teach them the experience, the knowledge I had gained from the past, 8+ years of already being in, and then to see them on afterwards, once we all back to the fleet, back to our unit, and to see them there, then they're in my team, my platoon, or my company. It's amazing to see them, progress in their career as well.
So you said something that I find really interesting that I want to equate to Stilling Wall. You said, well, we move every 3 to 4 years, so you don't get complacent, right? And I find that really interesting because, I actually was telling this to one of the guests on the show when I was doing a phone call catch up. I said, I feel like I am I'm comfortable. I'm so comfortable right now with where I'm at, where I need to go and do something like sleep outside just to get a little uncomfortable, And so can you talk to us about why being complacent is a dangerous place to be?
Sure. I mean, when you think you know everything, and it can be anything and I use this at my restaurant now too, where we have checklists, cleaning checklists at the end of the night, or opening checklists. And even though my employees do it day in, day out, now they miss things. In the beginning, they don't miss things. Now they start to miss things, like, I forgot to sweep or mop. I'm like, well, you wouldn't forget it if you use checklist. You might have it memorized, but then you forget to do some of these things because you get distracted, or something happened during that day, or some life event, and now you're not really thinking about it. So, like, just being uncomfortable, not being complacent, or, I think helps in your daily life, right? And you don't miss things, right? Now you're more focused. Now you're like, okay, what do I need to work on next? Or let me go back to my checklist to see what I need to knock out, or what I missed, or something like that. So, being uncomfortable, I think, definitely helps.
So let's talk about, as a business owner, you're owner of a restaurant, no less, hospitality, right?
It's a very difficult industry.
dealing with people, and not only you're dealing with people, but you're dealing with workers, right? Andrew, I feel, I could be wrong, but I feel like different parts of the world, well, let's just focus on the US, different parts of the US breed different types of workers.
Yeah.
And being that you're here in South Carolina and stuff, I feel like if your workers are more predominantly maybe college or something, around the younger age, maybe this isn't a career for them. Especially I've noticed coming from Los Angeles, that was not at end all be all job for most people. It was like for some people that I worked with, that was their career and they were on top of it. They were great because that was what they chose. Whereas someone that was like going for acting or going for something else and was just doing this to just have a summer job or have a job in between auditions didn't care as much, right? So how do you, coming from the Marine background, right, where you're surrounded by some of the best, right?
Yeah.
You're surrounded by people that are doing the job and that are staying on top of things and putting in the work. How do you, as an owner, work with someone that I'm describing?
Yeah, so that definitely was a learning process and something I had to get used to. And my wife's like, you can't treat your employees like your Marines. I was in a male dominant unit, and so I was just a lot of banter that goes back and forth, a lot of trash talking. But when you have a different rank system in the Marine Corps, you tell somebody to do something, they do it. And, you yell at them and, play some games with them if they're doing some stupid things. They go do some push-ups. But I can't do that here to my employees. Can't tell them to go do some push-ups because they'll probably either walk out on me or, laugh. They are pretty much a lot younger than me. They're in their 20s or so as they're going through school or figuring out their life. So that was a transition. I do have a couple of Marines on my payroll here. One guy was in Vietnam, veteran. He was my dishwasher, and he was a fantastic guy. He would show up like an hour early. His mid-70s. Show up an hour early. He would get the work done. Wouldn't complain. And then when it's time to clock out, he'd clock out and go on with his day. Didn't have to worry about him. One of my bartenders, he was a Marine. Actually, we were deployed around the same time together. Didn't know it. But, his work ethic, it's just different. I'm not saying it's better or worse, but I can just see his work ethic is different than some of my other employees. Yeah, some of the attention to detail or, the promptness of getting to work. I don't think he's ever been late. Maybe once or twice, car trouble, this, that, overeat. And he's called, said, hey, this happened. But some of the other employees, they're 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late, no phone call, no nothing. I was like, I get that this is kind of easy going job, you bartend, whatever, but like I need to make sure, one, that you're okay. Like, are you alive? Like, I care about my employees, but two, I got to make sure that I have coverage. Otherwise, I'm cleaning dishes and bartending or cooking, which I had to do all three before. Not at once, but yeah, it was definitely a learning curve for me to be able to communicate with civilians and to work alongside them, and females too, because I didn't work alongside too many females.
So how did you make those adjustments? And also, how do you, I don't want to use the word motivate, but how do you work along or work with the employees that are just like there for a short time?
Yeah, I think I'm very fortunate. All of my employees have been really great. A couple of them, it didn't work out, and they're not with me anymore. But for the majority of them, they're all fantastic employees, and they like working with me. So they say, which is great. And I appreciate their input because they have really great ideas that I never thought of because they've been in this industry a lot longer than me. So we have meetings. I tried to, what I did in the Marine Corps transition to the civilian life. So like we have several meetings throughout the week. And so I try to not overload them with meetings because it's hard to get them to come in sometimes. But try to have some type of communication, which I'm not that good at. dealing with them, communicating. And so, having a meeting in person or text or email, whatever it might be, but bring them in, telling them like, hey, I'm thankful for you guys being here. Like, I appreciate you guys helping me out, getting this business up and running. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is what I'm looking at doing. This is like what I'm used to in the Marine Corps. Is this going to work or is it not going to work? What do you guys think? So I get their inputs and, we'll try something out. And if it doesn't work, we adjust fire and move to something else. Or I ask them, what do you think about this special or this event or whatever? Or you guys come up with something, if they have buy-in, I think they're more, apt and eager to do a good job, right? If you're just showing up and no one's listening to you, you do your job, you leave, and that's it. But I feel like if your employer is taking your input, is listening to you, I feel like they're a little more eager to do a good job. And so, they taught me things that I've never even thought of in the hospitality business.
What made you go hospitality? That's not easy and just say,
if you ask my wife, she thinks I'm nuts. She's like, how do you go from a demanding job in the Marine Corps to now another demanding job in hospitality, owning a restaurant, a brewery?
And it's the first year.
Yeah. We opened May of this year.
Yeah.
I was tired of taking orders from everybody else. So I think being an entrepreneur was one route I wanted to go down. And I was deployed in 2022 and I knew retirement was on the horizon. So I was looking up various jobs on Indeed and LinkedIn and various websites. And so I found Voodoo Brewing Company, which is a franchise based out of Meadville, Pennsylvania. I went to their website, kind of liked what they were showing on there. I sent it to my wife and my good friend, now business partner. I said, what do you guys think? And I think they were just entertaining the idea. I think I forget whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, cool. Let's own a bar. And so I came back from deployment. We had some phone calls with Voodoo, the corporate team, back and forth. And then eventually went to an approval day where, it's almost like an interview, right? You go see a corporate store and you see what the beer's brew and you talk to some of the corporate team members and then they are interviewing you more so, see if you're a good fit for the brand. And, I liked everything I saw there. We all did, we all liked what we saw. The product was great. The beer is good. I don't know how to brew beer, but I like drinking beer. So I thought this was a good option. And so we signed on with it, knowing that I was going to be full-time, I also be retired from Marine Corps. This would be my full-time job of managing it on a daily basis. It's the GM, but my wife is there helping out with some marketing stuff at night, Instagram posts, Facebook posts, and then my buddy, business partner Chris, he's in finances, so he's very good with numbers. So he kind of helps with the back end, QuickBooks, and all that stuff. So
the numbers guy.
Yeah, his numbers that he spits out, it gets confusing. I'm like, just tell me what I need to charge for this or what I can discount this for. But so the three of us as a tripod, I think, make up a pretty good team. We're making it work so far.
Well, Myrtle Beach.
Well, we live in Wilmington, North Carolina. We wanted to open one up there. Unfortunately, someone else bought the market for that area. So there will be another Voodoo in the Wilmington, Jacksonville, North Carolina area. So it was either give it up or transition to another location. We kind of thought about Myrtle Beach if we were going to expand past one, knowing it's, the tourist destination. The summer months is very busy. In the winter months, it dies down, you get more locals. And then Chris lives down this way. So it was, it was an easy transition to kind of shift to Myrtle Beach.
You mentioned before we started the show, you're like fish out of water, right? It's like, how do you even talk to us about not just the hard days, but the days where you're up? Because I just feel like a hard day to me, it's so broad, it's so subjective, right? Like what's hard, right? And you just grind and put your head down and you do what you gotta do, right? But for me, I feel like a lost and confused day tops them all because I just don't even know where to go, right? Or what to do. Do you feel that and you have days like that? And if so, how do you navigate that?
Yeah, there's been quite a few of those days for sure, especially in the beginning. Because that's it. The pub's going to open, whether you're ready or not. Especially in summertime, customers want food, beer, drinks, whatever it is. They want to come in, and there is no I can't. I mean, I can close. Honestly, that's not gonna work. So I was definitely a fish out of water. You know, some people may think a hard day is like a very physical, demanding day, right? Like a workout or a long run, or a very stressful mental day where you're just having to think a lot, or a lot of Zoom meetings. It's just a lot. This is, this is a lot. I'm trying to manage employees, and also customers, and ordering stuff, ordering food, and I'm keeping up with that. So, there's always something that's going on. Marketing, there's always stuff you could be doing to working, on your business, instead of in your business, as people say. Right now, I'm trying to kind of like differentiate that, because right now I'm kind of working in the business as I fill in as dishwasher sometimes, because we're slower right now. I don't have as many on staff, and when one guy calls out, I'm that guy then that steps up.
Yeah.
Which I don't mind. I've done everything from mopping floors. Like, I tell my employees, I will do everything that I ask you guys to do. I'll clean the bathrooms, which I have. I'll cook, which, no one got sick, but, I've had to fill in cooking, for a little bit. So I'll do everything that needs to be done, and I ask my employees.
Which is great, because then your employees are seeing, I worked in hospitality in LA. We had a whole kitchen staff walk out on those ones. And just laugh. We've had tangible, dippable, the credit card machine's been down several times with the pack store.
Yeah.
I was one server and there was 30 tables. And we don't have pussers or anything. It's you do it all. Yeah. And sometimes they don't have the host, right?
Yeah.
And it's just you. And you're just like, I can't keep up. I just can't. So for yourself, what do you do on those days to ground yourself when you are feeling lost and confused and unsure of where you're going?
Yeah. Oh, we've had those days where you're short-staffed, or the power goes out and now you can't, take any more credit cards or whatever it might be. You just got to take it 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time, develop a plan. I got the inputs from my employees. All right, we're short-staffed today. You do this, and this. You do this, and this, and I'll cover down on this. And kind of, spread the workload. Find out who's good at certain areas, and then that's their job. And so it's really just taking it kind of one step at a time. At the end of the day, no one's shooting at us, so it's we'll just get through it together. And that's I tell my employees that, and we can't predict the future. Today could be dead. Nobody. So I don't staff as much. So I figured tomorrow's gonna be dead. But then we get hit because people decide to go out on a Thursday. I don't know. And so now there's slams. Sorry guys, I don't know. But they're in this business. They realize there's a roller coaster. There's so many highs and lows. But yeah, to answer your question, you just gotta take it 1 minute at a time. And again, we're not getting shot at right now. So
Right.
Just take it easy and just kind of work through it.
I love those days when I was slammed. A, time went by so quick.
Yeah.
And B, I was rolling the money. Yeah. I'm there to make money. I'm not there to just collect my hourly.
Right.
And I wanted to ask you, so we had Navy SEAL Lance Cummings on the show, and he talked about how he murder boards everything. And he'll murder board with his family and all that stuff. And then I actually just had an interview that's coming up, I think next Wednesday, where he talked about the dirt dives that they did, the dirt dives that they do prior to the missions and all that stuff, right? It's well, you as a Marine, you are pre-planning all your missions. You're constantly training. You are aware of all the contingencies that are going to happen, right? In a field that you are such a fish out of water in, how do you plan for a contingency when you don't even realize that that's a contingency, right? Have you some men you just don't think, oh yeah, my staff will walk out, oh yeah, the credit card machine can go down, oh yeah, a customer could, I don't know, go nuts on me. How do you personally plan for something when you essentially don't really know what you're planning for?
Yeah, I'm fortunate enough not to have someone just walk out on me in the middle of a shift, so I wasn't really left high and dry. But, I'm constantly thinking about, all right, if I'm short-staffed, I only have one cook, then maybe I have to limit my menu. Maybe I have to just shut down what we make on the pizza in the pizza oven or on the grill top, so that one guy isn't overwhelmed, they can focus on one area and or the other. So that, and then, same with bartenders. And if I'm short-staffed bartenders, maybe we only make certain drinks. Maybe we're only pouring beers instead of making cocktails. But communication is what really goes a long way with the customers. I've noticed that if you tell them, hey, we're short-staffed, my one cook was sick today, so I only got one guy back there, so the ticket times are going to be 30 minutes vice the normal 15 minutes. They're okay with it. They understand. The same thing with if I got one bartender, and they can see him running around. The kid's not just sitting there on his phone. Hey, I'm sorry, I'm down one bartender right now. It's going to be a bit longer for drinks. They're okay with it. As long as they know and they're not sitting there in the dark, customer-wise. You can plan for everything, but then you just never know what's going to happen.
How do you get through the days? Are there ever days where you question what am I getting myself into, or you're unsure of where it's going, and how do you unsure that you made the right choice, and how do you pull out of it and keep moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, especially now in the slower season, I'm just like, God, I still have a few more months of this before golfers come down in March and, spring break and stuff like that. So I'm like, this is tough right now. How do I get more butts and seats, in the restaurant? How do I get my name out there? So I'm constantly trying to think of that stuff. And yeah, there's times like, why did I choose this career when I could have just worked at Home Depot or Lowe's and just been a greeter at Walmart or something like that and collected my pension and then still had some extra money coming in. There's certainly highs and lows. For every bad day, there's good days. It's really cool to be able to meet new people that come into the pub, especially, veterans, talk, have a conversation with them, see where these people are coming from across the United States, see what their interests are, what they do for work. I'll just have a normal conversation. And honestly, when I go around talking to tables, touching tables, say, how you doing? Thanks for coming in. I really appreciate you, coming to my restaurant, not someone else's. Customers they like that. And, I'm talking to the owner. Oh, that's really cool. Hey, you're a veteran. Thanks for your service. I appreciate it. Well, we do 10% off for military. So, and they're like, oh, well, thank you very much. And then I hear their story because, they were in Vietnam or the Gulf War or did whatever kind of job they did. And it's really cool to have a conversation with them. So yeah, some days I'm just like, why did I do this? And other days I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. I get down with this.
What do you got for our listeners to help develop that mental fitness to be able to handle the storms, the challenges when they're feeling lost or confused? What can we do to just be a little bit more resilient?
That's that's a very good question, and I think it's different for everybody. I think one thing is to just get in a good routine. When you have a solid routine, I think just helps with everything else in life. You don't feel lost. You know what your schedule is. Like I said, for me, you wake up, shave your face, breakfast, workout. All right, I know what I'm doing, from there. Make checklists, help if you can't remember stuff, make a little checklist, keep a little book with you. And then just as you start ticking things off, you start feeling more and more accomplished. And they could be little things. It's just like, go to the grocery store or, send this email out to somebody and whatever it might be. You have a checklist and you check it off, all right, I did something today. Look at all that I accomplished. My grandfather's always said, never stop learning. So, and you can always learn more. So, there's different things you can do from various podcasts that you listen to or, tutorials that you get online, or some jobs they offer more educational learning for their employees. So seek that out. If it's free, you might as well do it. And you never know who you're going to meet. You never know what doors it's going to open up. And I think that'll just help with people's mental attitude, resiliency, and toughness.
Yeah, I always say the routine's going to save you.
Yeah.
That morning routine really sets the tone. I know for myself, especially when it's a holiday season, my family, all of us getting together, it takes them forever to even decide to get out of the house and just decide what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And for myself, it's chaos when we are all together. When we're together, every other month, and it's just like it's always chaos, and we like never learn. And yeah, I'm realizing like my routine is what saves me and like keeps me level headed and not in reacting mode because I took care of myself before I went and dealt like that. So that was excellent. I feel like a lot of our listeners are gonna get a lot out of it, and this conversation. You were fantastic.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun, actually. I was a little nervous coming in. I always kind of, what I'm going to say, should I ask this question, that question, kind of have like kind of pre-planned, but then, and once you start going back and forth, it was easy.
Yeah, confident. It's great. You really did an amazing job. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's painless.
Yeah.
But for everyone that is listening or watching, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Subscribe to the Substack. We got free chapters from the book. We got blogs about our final question. Everything is completely free. So go and subscribe to that and develop your mental toughness, your mentally fit, resilience, grit, everything to help you tackle those challenges that are in your life. And I'll see you guys all next Wednesday. Thank you.